I always thought betrayals came with a warning, like a sudden chill in the air before a storm, or a gut feeling gnawing at the edges of your mind. But I was wrong. Sometimes, they creep in silently, like a slow, invisible crack spreading across a windshield. You don't see it at first. Then one day, everything shatters. For me, it started with a text message. Not a suspicious one, not at first. Hey, babe, working late again. Don't wait up. Love you. Lisa had been working late a lot recently, which wasn't entirely out of the ordinary. She was in marketing, and big campaigns often meant late nights, client meetings, and overtime. I had no reason to doubt her. Not until that night. It was around 11:30 p.m. when I got home from a quick beer with my buddy Jake. Lisa still wasn't back, which wasn't unusual. But what was unusual? Her phone, sitting on the kitchen counter. Lisa never left her phone unattended. Ever. Curiosity got the best of me. I wasn't the type to snoop, but something about the way she had rushed out that morning, kissing me quickly, barely looking me in the eyes, stuck with me. The screen was dark, but as soon as I picked it up, a message popped up. Mike, tonight was amazing. I can still taste you. Same time tomorrow? Mike. My best friend. The crack in the glass became a fissure. My fingers tightened around the phone, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I reread the message, hoping, praying that I had misinterpreted it, that there was some logical explanation. But deep down, I already knew the truth. I put the phone down carefully, as if dropping it would somehow make this nightmare more real. My breathing was slow and controlled, but my mind was a hurricane. I could wait. Wait until she walked through that door, pretending everything was normal. I could confront her. I could scream, demand answers, demand the truth. But I knew Lisa. She was a master manipulator. She'd twist the story, make me feel crazy. No, I needed proof. Cold, undeniable proof. So instead, I did something I never thought I'd do. I grabbed my laptop, opened a hidden tab, and started searching. For tracking apps. For spy cameras. For anything that would expose the truth. If Lisa wanted to play games, I was about to change the rules. I barely slept that night. My mind was spinning, my body was wired, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw that damn message from Mike. Tonight was amazing. I can still taste you. It played on repeat, each word cutting deeper than the last. Lisa came home around 2 a.m., the scent of cheap perfume lingering on her clothes, except it wasn't hers. She always wore something floral, something soft. This was different. Musky. I stayed in bed, pretending to be asleep as she tiptoed through the room, as if her silence could erase what she had done. The mattress shifted as she slid under the covers, her breath slow and steady, like she had no guilt weighing her down. I wanted to roll over, to grab her, to demand she tell me the truth right then and there. But I didn't. I needed proof. The next morning, I went about my routine as if nothing had changed. Kissed her cheek. Told her I loved her. Watched her smile fake, rehearsed, just like everything else. Then, as soon as she left for work, I got to work too. First, I ordered a couple of discreet security cameras. Tiny, barely noticeable. One for the living room. One for our bedroom. One in the hallway. She wouldn't even think twice about them. Second, I installed a tracking app on her phone. I knew her passcode, of course I did. She had nothing to hide, or so she thought. A quick install, hidden in the background, and suddenly I had access to her locations, her texts, her calls. By the time I was done, I wasn't just suspicious. I was a hunter, setting a trap, waiting for my prey to walk right into it. And she would. Because cheaters never think they'll get caught. Lisa had no idea that the next time she snuck around, I'd be watching. She had no idea that her perfect little lie was about to collapse. And the best part? I wasn't just going to catch her. I was going to make sure she regretted ever thinking she could betray me. Waiting was the hardest part. The cameras were set. The tracker was running. And yet, every second that passed felt like an eternity. My mind raced with possibilities, where she was, who she was with, what she was doing when she wasn't home. By noon, I couldn't take it anymore. I checked the tracking app. Lisa's location. Mike's house. A surge of cold fury washed over me. She wasn't even trying to hide it. It was the middle of the workday, and she was at his house? My best friend, the guy I'd trusted with everything? I zoomed in on the map. She had been there for 30 minutes. I clenched my fists. I could drive over there now. Knock on the door. Watch them scramble, see the panic in their eyes. But no, that wasn't enough. I needed to know. I checked the security camera feeds, fast-forwarding through the morning. Nothing unusual. Just me leaving for work, Lisa having breakfast, scrolling through her phone like she had no care in the world. Then, around 10:30 a.m., the front door opened. Mike walked in. No knock. No hesitation. Just walked right in like he owned the place. Lisa met him in the hallway. And then as she kissed him, not a hesitant kiss. Not a what are we doing kiss. A hungry kiss. I could barely breathe as I watched it. She pulled him into her, hands gripping his hair, his hands moving to her waist, sliding lower. I slammed my laptop shut, my chest heaving. I had my proof. And I had never felt rage like this before. But I wasn't going to act on emotion. No, I was going to be smart. I had the footage. I had the tracking data. I had everything I needed. Now, I just needed the perfect way to destroy them both. And I knew exactly where to start. I had them. Dead to rights. The video, the tracking data, it was all there, staring me in the face. Lisa and Mike, tangled up in each other like I had never existed. Like our marriage was nothing. Like I was nothing. But I wasn't going to lose control. Not yet. I sat there for a long time, staring at my closed laptop, my mind racing. I had options. A lot of them. I could storm into Mike's house right now, catch them in the act, and make a scene they'd never forget. I could send the footage to Lisa's family, to our friends, to Mike's wife. Hell, I could even blast it all over social media. But no, that wasn't enough. I didn't want to just catch them. I wanted to make them suffer. So, I took a deep breath and made my plan. Step 1. Lay low. I wouldn't act suspicious. I'd come home like normal. Kiss Lisa on the cheek. Ask her how her day was. Let her lie to my face while I already knew the truth. Let her dig her own grave. Step 2. Gather more evidence. One video was good, but I needed more. If I was going to destroy them, I had to be airtight. I adjusted the security cameras, changed the angles slightly, just enough to catch better footage next time. I also made sure the tracking app on Lisa's phone was sending daily reports straight to my email. If she thought she was being sneaky, she had no idea I was 10 steps ahead. Step 3. Hit where it hurts. Mike had a wife. Sarah. I had met her dozens of times. She was sweet. Kind. The type of woman who made you feel welcome the second you walked into her home. And she had no idea she was being played for a fool. I wasn't just going to tell her. I was going to show her. Because if there's one thing I knew about Lisa and Mike, they didn't think ahead. They thought they were invincible. That they could sneak around without consequences. That they could take from me without ever having to pay the price. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The hardest part was pretending. Pretending that I didn't know. Pretending that my entire world hadn't been ripped apart by the two people I trusted most. Pretending that Lisa was still my loving wife instead of a lying, cheating, backstabbing piece of garbage. When she came home that evening, she acted perfectly normal. Hey, babe, she chirped, tossing her purse on the counter. Long day at work. I'm exhausted. I forced a smile. Yeah? What was so busy? She hesitated. Just for a fraction of a second. Oh, you know. Meetings, reports, the usual. I swear, my boss is trying to kill me with all this paperwork. Lie. She wasn't at work. She was at Mike's house. Probably still tasting him on her lips while she stood there feeding me this bullshit. But I didn't flinch. I just nodded, sipping my beer, watching her. She had no idea that I knew. Lisa went about her evening like nothing was wrong. Took a shower. Made dinner. Even curled up on the couch with me like we were just another happy couple watching TV after a long day. I played along. Because I wasn't just going to expose her. I was going to crush her. Step 1. Planting the seed. The next morning, I did something unexpected. I sent Mike's wife, Sarah, a text. Me. Hey, Sarah. Hope you're doing well. Can we meet for coffee sometime this week? Just wanted to talk about something important. She responded within minutes. Sarah. Hey. Of course. Is everything okay? Me. I'll explain in person. Tomorrow morning? 10 a.m.? Sarah. Sure. I'll be there. Hook, line, and sinker. I wasn't just going to tell her that her husband was cheating. I was going to let her see it for herself. Step 2. Setting the trap. That night, I laid the groundwork. I told Lisa I was heading out of town for work, just for a night. I made sure to be casual about it, acting like it was no big deal. She barely reacted. Oh, okay. When are you leaving? Tomorrow afternoon. Should be back by Friday. She nodded, pretending like it didn't matter. But I knew what she was thinking. She was already planning to meet Mike the second I left. Perfect. Because I wasn't really leaving. I was setting up the perfect ambush. Step 3. The final push. The next morning, I met Sarah. She was cheerful, warm, completely oblivious to the nightmare I was about to drop on her. So what's up? She asked, stirring her coffee. You sounded serious in your message. I pulled out my phone and slid it across the table. Her face paled as she watched the video. Lisa and Mike. Kissing. Touching. Betraying both of us in broad daylight. She didn't speak for a long time. Just stared. Blinked. Then her hands started shaking. He told me he was working late, she whispered. I nodded, my jaw tight. Yeah. Lisa told me the same thing. Tears welled in her eyes. But then something changed. A sharp, cold rage flickered across her face. What do we do? she asked, her voice steady now. I leaned in, looking her right in the eyes. We catch them in the act. Her lips curled into a wicked smile. I like the way you think. Game on. The best revenge is the kind they never see coming. Lisa thought she was in the clear. She thought I was out of town, giving her all the time in the world to roll around in my best friend's bed like a disgusting, cheating rat. She had no idea that she was walking straight into a trap. By noon, Sarah and I were parked down the street from Mike's house, waiting. Sarah was eerily calm. Too calm. I don't know what I'll do when I see them together, she said, gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. I always thought if something like this happened, I'd cry. But I don't feel like crying. I nodded. Same here. Because this wasn't sadness anymore. This was war. The waiting game. We didn't have to wait long. At 12:30 p.m. sharp, Lisa's car pulled up in Mike's driveway. I clenched my fist as she stepped out, looking happy, relaxed, like a woman on her way to see her lover. Sarah exhaled slowly. Unbelievable. We watched as Lisa rang the doorbell. The door swung open, and there he was, Mike, smirking, arms open, welcoming my wife into his home. They didn't waste any time. The second the door shut, I saw Lisa press herself against him. Their mouths met. No hesitation. No guilt. Just pure, filthy betrayal. My vision blurred with rage, but I forced myself to stay still. Not yet. We needed more. I grabbed my phone and started recording. Through the large front window, we could see everything. Lisa laughing. Mike whispering something in her ear. Her fingers tracing over his chest. His hands grabbing her waist. Sarah's breath was ragged, her entire body trembling next to me. I'm going to rip his face off. I placed a hand on her arm. Not yet. We go in when they're comfortable. When they least expect it. So we waited. And waited. Until, finally, the moment arrived. The grand entrance. 15 minutes later, Sarah and I stepped out of the car. Our footsteps were silent as we approached the house. Sarah pulled out Mike's spare key. He had given it to her months ago. How poetic. She slid it into the lock, and with one slow twist, click. The door swung open. No knocking. No warning. We walked right in. And there they were. Lisa. Mike. Half undressed. Tangled together on the couch like animals. Lisa's eyes went wide when she saw me. Her body froze mid-motion, her hands still gripping Mike's shoulders. Mike's face turned ghost white. For a second, no one moved. Then, Sarah spoke. Well, look what we have here. Lisa scrambled off Mike, nearly falling over herself trying to fix her clothes. What are you doing here? She stammered. I took a step forward, letting her see the camera in my hand. Catching you, I said coldly. And guess what? We got it all. Mike's jaw clenched. This isn't what it looks like. Sarah laughed, actually laughed. Oh, please. What does it look like, Mike? Huh? Because from here, it looks like you're screwing my husband's wife in broad daylight. Lisa turned to me, her eyes pleading. Babe, let's just talk. No, my voice was sharp, final. You don't get to talk your way out of this. Sarah stepped toward Mike, and for a moment, I thought she was going to slap him. But instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. With a smirk, she tossed it onto the table. Divorce papers, she said sweetly. Already signed. Have fun with your little toy, Mike. Because you just lost everything else. Mike's mouth fell open. Sarah, wait. No, she cut him off. You made your choice. Then, she turned on her heel and walked out the door. Mike lunged after her, panicked, but I stopped him with a single step forward. Touch her, I said, voice low, and I'll break your damn jaw. He hesitated, then backed away. Good choice. Lisa, on the other hand, was still staring at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. You don't have to do this, she whispered. I let out a breathless laugh. Lisa, I already did. Then, I dropped my own divorce papers onto the table and turned to leave. As I stepped outside, I didn't look back. Because Lisa and Mike? They weren't my problem anymore. They were each other's. Walking out of Mike's house should have felt like victory. But the truth? I felt nothing. No relief. No satisfaction. Just emptiness. The kind of numbness that comes when you realize the person you built your life with, the woman you loved, the best friend you trusted, were never who you thought they were. Sarah and I didn't say much as we got back to the car. She was shaking, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. You okay? I finally asked. She exhaled sharply. Not even close. I nodded. Yeah, me neither. We sat there in silence for a few minutes, staring at the house, waiting, watching. Through the window, I could see Lisa pacing, her hands in her hair, panicking. Mike was standing there like a deer in headlights, completely shell-shocked. Then, my phone buzzed. Lisa. I let it ring. Then a text came through. Lisa, please. Talk to me. Then another. Lisa. I'm so sorry. Please, let's just talk. One last time. I clenched my jaw, gripping my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. Sarah glanced over. You gonna answer? I stared at the messages for a long moment. No. And then, for the first time that day, I turned my phone off. The aftermath. That night, I booked a hotel. I didn't want to step foot in our house. Not yet. Not when everything inside it felt tainted. Lisa called over and over. When she realized I wasn't answering, she switched to emails. Long, desperate paragraphs. Lisa, I made a horrible mistake. I don't even know who I was when I did this. Please, just let me explain. Lisa, I love you. I don't want to lose you. Please, just meet me. Just once. Lisa, I can't sleep. I can't eat. I feel like I'm dying. Please, please don't shut me out like this. I didn't respond. Because the truth? I didn't give a damn how she felt. She didn't care about me when she was sneaking around. Did she? Did she care about my sleepless nights? My gut feeling that something was wrong? The way I trusted her while she was lying through her teeth? No. She only cared because she got caught. And I refused to let her guilt become my problem. Mike's life falls apart. The next day, Sarah and I met for coffee again. She looked tired, worn down, but there was something else in her expression. Something dark. She sipped her coffee, staring at her phone. You want to hear something funny? I raised an eyebrow. What? She turned the screen toward me. Mike had texted her. Mike, Sarah, I know I messed up. Please, don't throw everything away over one mistake. I love you. I need you. I scoffed. Wow. One mistake, huh? Oh, it gets better, she said, scrolling down. Another message. Mike, I didn't even want her, babe. She meant nothing. It was just a distraction. Please, I swear, I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you. Sarah snorted. A distraction? He blew up our entire marriage for a distraction? I shook my head. Pathetic. But I wasn't surprised. Because at the end of the day, men like Mike, they never take responsibility. They just scramble to fix the mess they created, hoping they can put the pieces back together before it's too late. Too bad for him, it already was. Lisa's last chance. That evening, I finally went home. The second I pulled into the driveway, Lisa came running out the door. She looked like hell. Eyes red, hair a mess, still wearing the same clothes from the day before. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Don't. Tears streamed down her face. Please, just talk to me. I crossed my arms. Talk? Like how you talked to Mike behind my back. Like how you talked when you were sneaking around in our own house. She flinched. I don't know why I did it. I laughed bitterly. Oh, come on, Lisa. Don't give me that. She sobbed harder. I was lost. I was selfish and stupid, and I didn't think. I never thought it would actually come to this. I scoffed. What did you think would happen? I don't know, she cried. I thought I could fix it before it got this far. My stomach twisted with rage. You had months to fix it, Lisa. My voice was cold. But you didn't. You kept going. You kept choosing him over me. And now, you want to pretend it was just some mistake. She covered her mouth, shaking. I don't want to lose you. I exhaled, stepping past her toward the house. You already did. She grabbed my arm, desperate. I'll do anything. Please. Just tell me what to do. I stared at her for a long moment. Then, I spoke. Sign the divorce papers. Her breath caught. No. No, please. I yanked my arm away, my voice sharp. That's the only thing I want from you. Nothing else. Just sign the damn papers. She broke down, collapsed onto the front steps, sobbing. I didn't stop. I walked into the house, shut the door behind me, and locked it. Because Lisa wasn't my wife anymore. She was just a woman who destroyed her own life. And I wasn't going to save her from it. The moment I shut that door, something inside me shifted. I wasn't sad. I wasn't heartbroken. I was free. For the first time since this nightmare started, I felt like I could breathe again. No more second-guessing. No more sleepless nights wondering if my wife, the woman I had built my life with, was sneaking around behind my back. Because now, I knew the truth. And there was no coming back from it. Lisa could cry. She could beg. She could say whatever the hell she wanted. But I was done. The final blow. The next morning, I emailed the divorce papers to her. No long message. No explanation. Just a single line attached. Sign them. She didn't reply. But an hour later, my phone rang. Lisa. I ignored it. Then another call. And another. Finally, a text. Lisa, please. Just hear me out. One last time. That's all I'm asking. I stared at the message, my jaw clenching. What was there left to say? I had watched her with Mike. I had seen everything. There were no more excuses. But a small, bitter part of me wanted to hear her try. So, I called her back. The second she picked up, she was already crying. Thank you for calling me. I leaned back in my chair. What do you want, Lisa? She sniffled. I need you to understand. I was lost. I was stupid. I wasn't thinking straight. I never meant to hurt you. I laughed, sharp and cold. Never meant to hurt me? You screwed my best friend in our house. Don't insult me, Lisa. She choked on a sob. I wasn't in my right mind. I was in a dark place. Cut the crap. My patience snapped. You weren't in a dark place. You were in Mike's bed. Over and over. So don't sit there and pretend this was some mistake. Silence. Then, finally, she whispered, Do you really want a divorce? I closed my eyes, exhaling. Yes. Her breath hitched. Can't we fix this? No, Lisa. We can't. She broke down into another sob, and for the first time, I felt nothing. Not pity. Not anger. Just nothing. Because this was the bed she made. And now? She had to lie in it alone. Mike gets what's coming. A few days later, I got a text from Sarah. Sarah, you're gonna love this. Check your email. Curious, I opened my inbox. And there it was, a legal document from Sarah's lawyer. Mike wasn't just losing his wife. He was losing his house. Sarah was divorcing him and keeping everything. The house. The savings. Even the damn dog. I grinned. He deserved every bit of it. Later that evening, Sarah called me. I talked to Mike today, she said, amusement in her voice. He's falling apart. Trying to win me back. I snorted. And what did you say? She laughed. I told him to go to hell. Good. Sarah sighed. And Lisa? I glanced at my phone, where another unread message from Lisa sat untouched. She's still begging me to take her back, I said. Still pretending she didn't destroy everything. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then, she said, you know what the best part is? What? They threw everything away for nothing. And she was right. Lisa and Mike destroyed 2 marriages, 2 friendships, everything we built together for what? A cheap, pathetic affair. And now? They had nothing to show for it. I smiled, stretching back in my chair. That was the real revenge. Because they didn't just lose us. They lost everything. The fallout was beautiful. Mike and Lisa weren't just dealing with their marriages imploding. They were dealing with the social destruction that came with it. Sarah didn't hold back. She told her family. She told their friends. She told everyone. And you know what happened next? Mike lost everything. His reputation? Destroyed. His social circle? Gone. His cozy little life? Up in flames. And Lisa? Oh, Lisa was drowning. She called every day. Texted. Emailed. Begged. But I had already checked out. She wasn't my wife anymore. She was just another mistake I was erasing. Lisa's last stand. One evening, after ignoring her for days, I heard a knock on my door. I already knew who it was. I opened it to find Lisa standing there, looking like a wreck. Her eyes were red, her hair was a mess, and she was clutching the divorce papers like they were a death sentence. Please, she whispered, her voice breaking. Just talk to me. I sighed. Lisa, what's the point? She shook her head rapidly, stepping forward. I made a mistake. I was selfish, I was lost, but I love you, and I don't want to lose you. I laughed bitterly. Lisa, you already lost me the second you let him touch you. She winced like I had slapped her. Tears streamed down her face. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll sign anything you want. Just don't let this be the end. I stared at her for a long moment, watching her fall apart. Then, I spoke. This isn't the end, Lisa. Her eyes lit up with hope. It's not. I smirked. No. This was the end the moment you spread your legs for Mike. She gasped like I had punched the air out of her lungs. I leaned in, my voice cold and sharp. Sign the papers. And get the hell out of my life. She sobbed, shaking her head. I can't lose you. You already did. And with that, I shut the door in her face. I didn't watch her leave. I didn't care. Because Lisa was just a ghost now. And I was already moving on. Lisa didn't give up easily. She kept calling. Kept texting. Each message was more desperate than the last. Lisa, please, just one last conversation. Lisa, I know I hurt you, but I love you. I can't live without you. Lisa, I'll do anything. Just tell me what you need. It was pathetic. This was the same woman who had lied to my face for months. The same woman who had thrown away our life together for a cheap thrill. And now, she was begging me to come back? It was almost funny. Almost. The last meeting. A week later, I finally caved. Not because I wanted to reconcile. No, I just wanted to see her one last time. To watch her break. I agreed to meet at a small cafe, but when I arrived, she was already there, sitting at a corner table, fidgeting nervously. She looked different. Smaller. Like the weight of her choices had finally settled on her shoulders. When I sat down, she reached for my hand. I pulled away. She flinched. You really hate me, don't you? I tilted my head. I don't hate you, Lisa. That would mean I still care. She swallowed hard. I was stupid. Selfish. I let myself get caught up in something that never should have happened. I didn't respond. I just let her talk. Because that's what cheaters do. They try to explain away their betrayal like it was some kind of accident. Like they just tripped and fell into bed with someone else. I love you, she whispered. I chuckled. No, Lisa. You love yourself. And that's the problem. Her lip trembled. Please, give me another chance. I stared at her for a long moment. Then, I leaned in and said the words that would break her forever. I already did. She blinked. What? I smiled. I gave you a chance the day I married you. And you threw it away. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I can't fix this, can I? No, I said calmly. You can't. And with that, I stood up. Lisa sobbed into her hands, her shoulders shaking. But I didn't look back. Because I wasn't just done with her. I was done with the past. Lisa was nothing more than a lesson now. And I was finally ready for whatever came next. Walking away from Lisa felt like stepping out of a burning building. The heat was still there. The smoke still clung to my skin. But I was alive. I was free. No more lies. No more second-guessing. No more wondering if my wife was screwing my best friend behind my back. It was over. And now? It was time to rebuild. Cutting the last ties. A few days after our final meeting, I got an email from Lisa. Lisa, I signed the papers. Attached was the finalized divorce agreement. No revisions. No demands. Just her signature. It was almost disappointing. After all the begging, the crying, the pathetic attempts to make me reconsider, she had finally given up. Or maybe she had finally realized what I had known all along. I was never coming back. I forwarded everything to my lawyer, and within a few days, it was official. I was no longer Lisa's husband. And for the first time in a long time, I felt at peace. Mike gets what he deserves. Sarah and I kept in touch. Not romantically, just two people who had survived the same storm. And one day, she sent me a text that made me grin. Sarah, guess who just got fired? I laughed out loud. Mike had lost his job. Turns out, screwing around with another man's wife while you're supposed to be working isn't exactly great for your career. I could only imagine how that conversation went. Boss, hey, Mike, why were you skipping meetings? Mike, personal reasons? Boss, yeah? Well, your personal reasons are now unemployed. Karma. Beautiful, poetic karma. Moving on. One evening, I sat on my balcony, watching the sunset, beer in hand, thinking about everything that had happened. I had been broken, humiliated, torn apart by two people I trusted more than anyone. But somehow, I survived. I was still standing, still breathing, and I knew, without a doubt, I was never going to let anyone treat me like that again. Lisa had been a chapter in my life, but that's all she was. A chapter, and I had just turned the page. Closure is a funny thing. People think it comes with some big, dramatic moment, a final argument, a last confession, some deep emotional reckoning. But the truth? Closure isn't given. It's taken. And I had already taken mine. Lisa's last words. A week after the divorce was finalized, Lisa sent me one last message. Lisa, I just want you to know. I'll regret this for the rest of my life. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then, I typed back two simple words. Me too. And I blocked her number. Not because I was still hurting. Not because I was angry. But because Lisa no longer existed in my world. A new beginning. Life moved on. And so did I. I got back into old hobbies. Started traveling. Went out with friends. And one night, at a bar downtown, I met someone new. She wasn't a replacement. She wasn't a rebound. She was just different. Real. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself feel something again. Lessons learned. Looking back, I realized something. Lisa's betrayal wasn't just the worst thing that had ever happened to me. It was also the best. Because it forced me to wake up. To see people for who they truly are. To never ignore my gut instinct again. To understand that sometimes, losing someone isn't a loss. It's a blessing. Lisa thought she had shattered me. But all she did was set me free. And as I sat across from that new woman, laughing, actually enjoying life again, I knew one thing for certain. I won. Game over.